Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage the hosts of the Fast and the Curious podcast, Christian Hugill and Greg James.
Hello, everybody.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Fast and the Curious live on the main stage here at the 2024 British Grand Prix. My name is Christian Hugill. Alongside me is our team principal, Mr. Greg James. Greg, how did you enjoy qualifying here?
I loved qualifying. A British 1-2-3 tomorrow. Amazing. We'll wait for the stragglers to come over from the grandstands and stuff. And we've got a great show for you this afternoon in the glorious sunshine, Christian.
In the glorious sunshine. And if you're listening on the podcast feed, qualifying has seconds ago finished, and here at Silverstone, to my right, there are people teeming out the grandstands, and I'm delighted to say, coming to see us on the main stage. Hello, everybody! There they are, they're coming in.
Really nice. So before we get our guest on, there is another member of this podcast who's sadly not here at the minute. She was here last year. She's currently doing the football for Australian TV. It's Betty Glover. Now, we don't have the real Betty, but we should have Betty here in spirit. Let me just run to the back of this massive main stage here.
He's off.
Let me just... Right,
It's Betty Glover, ladies and gentlemen.
Mind the speed bumps. Hang on, let's get her over this. Okay. This is no expense spared on this podcast. Here she comes. Please make some noise for Betty Glover, everybody.
I'm nervous about this coming down the ramp. You got it? You got Betty? Yeah, stop, Betty, stop.
There she is.
There she is. There she is.
She's going to get chilly wearing that.
There we go.
So there we go. I feel like we're good. Anyway, anyone here listen to the Fast and the Curious podcast? Thank you so much for coming to see us. Oh, she's already had enough. That's a shame.
Betty's folded over.
That is a shame, isn't it?
Oh, no.
But yeah, so we are a podcast for the F1 fanatics and the F1 newbies as well. And we celebrate I think maybe leave it. And we celebrate everything about this mad sport. And what a weekend so far. And it's going to be an incredible race tomorrow. We have someone who's been on the podcast a couple of times before back with us this afternoon. Would you like to explain her significance, Christian?
Her significance is she is a former strategist for several teams across the paddock, most recently Aston Martin. She's been on your television screens on Sky Sports. You can read her content on Formula One's website. She's been on various podcasts, and she's become a sort of, I think she's the nation's sweetheart, Greg. I think she really is. She's become a bit of a legend on coverage and given us sort of new insight as fans watching the sport all over the world. Shall we bring her out?
Let's do it. Please make some noise for Bernie Collins. As Bernie makes her way out on this enormous stage, down this ridiculously long ramp. Keep the applause going, please.
It's quite a long walk.
It's a long walk. Bernie, welcome.
Hi. Hi, everyone. Hi.
Box for Betty.
We're taking Betty.
Box for the box. Yeah, off she goes.
We're taking Betty away because we were worried she was going to blow off, as it were.
Bernie, it's great watching qualifying with Christian because he is an F1 mega nerd, and I can ask him any question. But it's even more amazing to sit back there and watch it with you. What did you make of it all? We've just watched it all. Lots of people are just sort of streaming out of the stands now. What's your take?
Yeah. So hello, everyone. I hope you enjoyed qualifying. It's not the end I was expecting. I didn't predict that top three. Good to get some sunshine, finally. I'm sure all of you that are camping really appreciate finally a little bit of heat. Lots. The last laps were interesting just because people weren't improving and finding time. And I think there's going to be quite a lot of people that feel they could have done something a little bit better. I see a lot of McLaren, which is probably for Norris. But Piastri started right behind Carlos Sainz. And that's not a good way to do a qualifying lap.
And that might explain why Oscar Piastri could only manage fifth. We'll run through the top five because it was Oscar in fifth. Max Verstappen fourth, who won't be used to not starting on the front row. Third was Lando Norris, who always gets a warm reaction. Second was Sir Lewis Hamilton. And Silverstone, your pole sitter, Formula One's most recent winner, and now on pole, George Russell. A very popular top three.
Almost like it was planned for the British Grand Prix.
Well, they could have planned the weather if they were planning that.
it's kind of as we expected,
Yeah.
isn't it? So yeah, when in Q1 when Checo had a mishap, or as you both went, he's binned it, he's binned it. You've worked with him.
Yes.
What went wrong there? I mean, apart from the obvious.
Well, I didn't actually see the onboard. Hopefully some of you in the crowd did see the incident. But in those conditions, I'm going to defend him here, it's really tricky. You get one wheel slightly on a curb, slightly in the grass, even on the white line. That's a lot slippier than the track. So you very quickly lose traction. And this is a difficult circuit. It's very high speed. And the thing that, interestingly, at one point, Alonso said something very interesting that I hadn't thought about before. Even in a race, lap on lap, the track is changing. So every lap you have to try and predict your new braking zone very, very slightly. And this qualifying session, as we've seen it going from very wet to dry, is worst case of that. It's changing really quickly. So you have to sort of forward predict where the braking zone's going to be. And you got that wrong.
It's really tricky. It was tricky conditions, particularly in Q1 when the track was drying out. A disappointing qualifying for Sergio in 19th. Also having a disappointing qualifying, Charles Leclerc, he finished 11th. He won't be pleased to have not made it into Q3. Bernie, what's gone wrong with Ferrari? Because ever since, those couple of wins in this season and Charles winning in Monaco, they just don't seem to have been able to stick it up there and seem to be having real problems now.
Yeah, it's got to be a little bit upgrades. I would definitely be disappointed with P11 there today. But I think it is just getting that whole car to work together. This track, quite like Barcelona, a lot of high speed, very different corner ranges, and they just don't seem to have put all that together. So yeah, let's hope there's more to come tomorrow in the race. But I think, I'm so glad to see Mercedes really step it up today. So the Mercedes... The Mercedes-McLaren fight tomorrow is going to be really good. And I guess one thing to say for anyone that watched the recent stuff is we've got Norris starting next to Verstappen.
Oh, yes.
Ooh.
Oh.
It's gotten quite panto, hasn't it?
Okay.
That will be quite good fun with, starting on row 2 with Lando in 3rd, Max in 4th. Bernie, we frequently hear on rundowns to turn 1, certain tracks you get a slipstream into turn 1. It can be advantageous starting on the 2nd row. Here, much shorter run into turn 1. What will Lando and Max be thinking with that row 2 grid slot?
Well, they'll not be happy. No driver's ever happy with a row 2 grid start, for particularly Max. He's not used to being in that position. What we do with the drivers overnight on a Saturday night is we look at all the previous starts that have been here. We look at it through a load of different grid positions. We'll expect to see which tyres it is. We'll be deciding between likely the soft or the medium tomorrow. Do you think that gives you enough of an advantage? It's not a massive run to turn 1, like you say, but the first lap here is very, very accident prone. We've had 2 of the last 5 years, we've had a red flag on lap 1 incidents. So the teams will really be thinking about that. There's a few sayings, but, to finish first you must finish is the first thing. So you got to get round lap 1 cleanly, you got to get round turn 1 clean, and then you will be trying to gain, they'll be trying to gain some positions. Max and Lando will both come out fight, and they know that lap 1 is their best chance to get ahead of that Mercedes.
They'll try not to, but Austria will be in their heads. In that
100%. 100%.
And how
it's
much
in my head, and I'm just watching from home.
Well, how will they prepare for that tonight? Because I guess you can overthink these things.
So they'll be looking through incidents that have happened here in the past. It was interesting. On Thursday, Norris came out and said Verstappen doesn't need to apologise anymore. And already there's a bit of this gameplay of, I'm over it, are you over it, But they will be thinking about it, and it'll be interesting to see their approach to any race and incident. Norris, I expect to come out, fully committed, show him that he's not afraid of him, that he's going to make his mark. Let's hope they keep it clean and we get a good race out of it.
It is set up so beautifully.
It's fascinating. And I tell you what it is set up beautifully for as well, because I've just spotted, as you guys have been chatting, in front of us now, How many banners have we got? We've got LH44, Still We Ride. We've got Roscoe on a banner. We've got loads of Mercedes hats. We've got King of Silverstone, Lewis. We've got a banner there that says 44. We've got a bollard here that says, Lewis, I can die happy now I've seen you in person. Please can you sign my hat? And all these Lewis Hamilton fans, he's in P2 tomorrow. Bernie, we saw Lando sweep into the lead last year into turn 1. So Lewis Hamilton will be thinking, I quite fancy this. I need to reassert my dominance in this team. And if anyone's going to want another British Grand Prix win, it's Lewis Hamilton, right?
Yeah, sure. And, you know, he is a master around here. He's won more races around here than anyone else. He loves that track. I think, you know, as fans, you think of being here in the support, and we talk about a home Grand Prix, pressure on drivers, but drivers can really hear you guys in the stand. You know, the amount of drivers that are fit to pick up, hearing people through the stands, come back, and you can see it when you've got like a home race. The support really makes a difference to those guys.
If the drivers can hear them, can we do a bit of an experiment? It's an interesting top 3, and there are going to be various, you know, people wanting different driver to win because they're all Brits. You know, we all wish them well, but I wonder who's the most popular. So, starting on pole position, who'd like to see George Russell win? Interesting.
Pretty good. Pretty good.
Starting in second place, who'd like to see Sir Lewis Hamilton win?
Okay, louder for sure.
And starting in third place, who'd like to see Lando Norris win?
It's Lewis.
Do you think it's Lewis?
Yeah, loud. It was loudest for Lewis, definitely.
I thought Lando shaking
No, it was louder. It was louder for Lewis, I think. Yeah, I think it was.
Starting in P6, who'd like to see Nico Hulkenberg win? Good, wouldn't it? It'd be good.
Yeah, it'd be great.
Bit
Great
of
story
drama.
for the Hulk.
Yeah, bit
By
of
the way,
drama.
it's filling out nicely here, so welcome if you've just joined us. This is the Fast and Curious podcast live, and you're very welcome to it. Now, we were watching qualifying with you backstage, Bernie, and it's always fascinating talking to you on our podcast, and also on a day like this, when the race gets more interesting because there's a lot of weather around. You had your radar out, you've been looking at it all weekend. How much does that feed into your strategy and the planning of a race day tomorrow?
So there's a few things you said I'm going to pick up on is watching qualify backstage. How cool is that? That sounds really good.
Very cool.
We're very
there's
cool
always
people.
weather around, even if it's sunny.
That's
so
true.
People say
There is
always
always
weather. There's
weather.
always weather
Always
around.
weather.
We are surrounded by weather.
Some of it better than others.
But quite severe weather this morning, for example.
So the difficulty here, and most of you know, but it's an airfield. It's really exposed. It gets really windy. I know you've been feeling that all weekend. I
Apparently
feel it
it's
as
windy,
well.
guys. Who knew?
I feel it. So it's really hard to predict corner to corner for the guys. Even if it's dry, you get big gusts through the grandstand. So at one point you'll have no wind, then suddenly there's a gap in the grandstand, you get a big blast. And the rain, you know, I packed a few days ago and it wasn't meant to rain today,
No.
which is why I'm inappropriately dressed. But the rain is a big thing here. The radar changes really quickly. And I was saying to the guys, backstage, I'll throw that in again. I'm not often backstage. So backstage, I was saying to the guys, the difficulty for me, this is a really difficult one to do weather because our factory's just over there for Aston Martin. It's not that far away. I live an hour away. And you'll get on the pit wall, you'll be watching your radar all weekend, you'll be trying to decide if it's going to get wetter or drier. And then someone next to you will say, my wife's at home, it's raining there. And you're like, okay, where am I going to put that in my model? Or someone else will send you a picture of their Ring doorbell. It's like, that's also no good to me because I don't know where you live. It's not on my map. So you get all this extra bit of information that you don't normally get. And actually, it clouds your listening a bit.
It clouds your listening. It's a weather gag for you there, everybody. That was very good. wasn't it?
Unintended pun. I'm not funny.
Yeah. Do you message through to Lance or Fernando in that point saying, by the way, Mark's wife Sheila says it's raining in Milton Keynes. Over.
Yeah, it's really, really hard to deal with all the information coming in. Do you want to talk about the phones?
I do want to talk about the phones. Yeah, so give us some real gossip. Give us some stuff we don't know about.
So we again discussing, but lots of the teams, because we've a lot of people here and on all of the tracks, some of the teams will send 3 to 5 people out with a mobile phone, position them around the track or a little bit further away, And literally, they're weather phones. So literally, they put on their phone, it brings up their GPS location, and they put in if it's raining, it's not raining, if they think rain's coming, whatever. So that all feeds into the information on the pit wall. A bit of just like you guys in the stand saying, it's starting to rain at turn, whatever. And then that information does go directly to the drivers so that they can predict ahead of time, turn 18 is going to be wet or whatever the case is.
I quite like that some teams also have weather people.
Yeah.
They have sort of BBC weather forecasters that they employ and say,
Yeah.
go and stand at COPs and tell us what it's like. That's true, isn't
And
it?
it's quite
we-
secretive as well.
We spend a lot of time doing forecast and a lot of time trying to predict what's happened. We decide what tyres we're bringing. We decide what the setup of the car is going to be. A lot of work goes into it. And then it's the instant thing. As soon as it rains and you said it's not going to rain, everyone's like, well, that was wrong.
Should have listened to the doorbell.
Just been very distracted because there's a Bernie Collins sign in the
This
audience.
is the one from
Oh,
earlier
yeah.
I
Is this
was
one from
telling you
earlier?
about.
This says Bernie, baby Aurelia, yeah, who's here. Oh,
Yeah.
look at her, she's adorable. Wants to be like you. There's a baby in the audience. After the count of three, everybody go, ah, 1, 2, 3. Ah, thank you.
Oh, really? Yeah.
And she's already got a little racing engineer pit wall headphones on, Bernie.
I know, bless her. She's
cute.
very, very cute.
So her destiny has already been decided.
Yeah.
That's
What
what,
if
she
she-
will do.
She's signed up for engineering already.
What if she wants to be a vet or something? Is that not
Too
allowed?
late, I'm afraid.
No, that's unfortunate.
When did it all
It's a
start?
pushy dad.
When did it start for you, Bernie? Probably not that young, but when did you catch the bug for racing?
Well, some of you probably know this story, but I didn't know I wanted to do racing. I started engineering because I enjoyed maths and physics, and I didn't know what to do, and it was quite broad, and I can do loads of things out of it, so that felt like a good idea. And then midway through engineering, I discovered motorsport. Like, I knew F1 existed, don't get me wrong, but when you're watching F1 as a kid, or when I was younger, you didn't see the engineers, you didn't see the pit wall, you'd just seen the drivers. And I knew I was never going to be a driver. So actually, it was only midway through my degree that I really started to think, oh, this is possible. I did a little thing called Formula Student, which some of you may know. So we build a little single-seater race cars, a load of universities do it. We race it around here. So we actually raced it on the start-finish straight, the old start-finish straight here. I did the acceleration event because I'm small and light, and therefore, or I was light, sorry, and therefore,
Still light.
it felt to be the quickest at the acceleration event. But we hadn't set it up right, so we hadn't set the car up fully because you don't when you're a student. And it was only at the end of the start-finish straight I realised I couldn't reach the brakes. So I was like desperately trying to move forward in my seat to get the brake, but we got there in the end. We didn't do very well, but we got there.
And do you miss working on strategy on a weekend like this, or are you happy just to watch everyone else and go, oh dear, I wouldn't
On
have
a
done that?
weekend like this, today when it was so wet and challenging, probably don't miss it. In general, though, I do. I miss the adrenaline. I miss the difference I make to the race, as selfish as that sounds. I loved being on the pit wall. I loved the Aston Martin team. We worked really well together, but I just didn't want to do 23 races. So now I'm enjoying stepping back, watching it with you guys, and seeing all of it. Because when you're doing strategy, you see your little bit, your team, your car, and often you'll miss what else happens. Whereas now I get to see it all. And do this. This is more fun than doing the analysis.
This is
after the
fun.
race.
It's a great crowd as well. Really nice. Thanks for even bothering to show up. I know a lot of you here for the football because it's on the big screen, but that's fine. We'll take the win. Speaking of wins, can you take us to your favourite moment? Well, have you got a favourite moment over the years of working in the sport? A favourite race?
Yeah, the favourite race for anyone that's been watching for a long time has to be the win with Checo in 2020. We only won one race, so that's a good one to talk about. But, he crashed on lap 1. We made a decision to do a pit stop. We changed the tyres, and then we went on to win the race. Because lots of negative things happen for others, Mercedes had bad pit stops. So that was fantastic. I think the other things that stand out, my first podium was Russia 2015. I'd only just started doing strategy. That was one. And then I had a podium in Monaco, and that was great. People say a podium in Monaco really digs different, and it does really digs different.
And it's interesting to note, you said that you're enjoying this side of the sort of F1 world, Bernie. Every time you're on Sky Sports, in my feed, Bernie Collins is trending. People love watching you. Guys, how much of a brilliant addition has Bernie been? Bernie, you've become so popular through your contribution on Sky and all the other bits you do around. How has that been? Because let's be honest, a lot of engineers in the paddock aren't massively known. Then you've been thrust onto the telly, onto podcasts and that sort of thing. Everybody loves you. Has that been a bit of a strange thing to get used to?
Oh, yeah, definitely. So first of all, I want to say thank you all for your support. You know, I get so many messages and it's really great, you know, people hearing the voice and everything. No, you don't need to... But, like, thank you for the support. It genuinely doesn't go unnoticed, although, you know, anyone who's messaged me, I'm sorry if I've not replied. But, yeah, it's been really strange because I feel a bit like a fraud. So when you're on the pit wall, you're really doing it. You work really hard. You work week in, week out. You do the 23 races a year. You put loads of effort in. And now I'm doing much less, but I'm much more known. And that's a bit of a strange thing, that before you were working so much in the sport, and there's so many people that work so hard that you don't recognise in the street. And I'm still finding that really odd. So if anyone ever speaks to me at some point and I look a bit frazzled, it's because I don't really understand what's going on. And often I'm trying to work out if it's someone I know or someone that knows me off TV, because this is all new to me. But yeah, you know, it's nice, and it's been nice to... The thing I really enjoy is... We'll maybe get onto it in a bit, but just to... I've written a book recently, and I did a book signing.
What's the book called, Bernie?
The book's called How to Win a Grand Prix, because I won one, so obviously I know.
Is it available in all good bookshops?
Say again?
Is it available in all good bookshops?
Bookshops and online and all the usual outlets.
It's online.
Online.
It's on the internet.
Online.
And I did the audiobook if anyone really loves listening to me, but let's see. But I did a signing at home in Ireland, and I would say 60-70% of the people that were there were young girls trying to get into motorsport. And actually that was great. I was like, that is, you know, I've made a difference to these people, and showing them it's possible, and that's what it's about.
It is. It's amazing to see you do so well. And also, you were saying before we came on that you're not used to doing these sorts of things on the stage.
Yeah,
but
so I was worried about this because I can't see you on TV, so I just feel like I'm talking to one camera. So that's actually really easily. So I thought this is going to be really daunting, but you've been very welcoming.
You've given Bernie a warm welcome because we love Bernie Collins, don't we?
It's nice people. Silverstone's full of nice people. Before we get on to a little prediction on tomorrow and your thoughts on how it's going to go tomorrow, can we just have a little look forward into the future? Because I know you love this sport and you're always looking for the next thing and who's the next big thing. It's going to be a very different grid next year for lots of reasons.
Yeah.
New people moving teams, obviously. Who are you excited about?
So I think there's more to come on the announcements. We've obviously had Oliver Berman announced last weekend maybe. And he did amazingly when he got in the Ferrari in Jeddah. I interviewed him that weekend and he was just so calm, and I was thinking, if this was my big shot at F1, I would not be this calm. So he, I think, has a bright future ahead. He's not been doing that great in the junior categories, but when he got in that car, he did amazingly. So he's in the Haas. That's going to be exciting to see what he can do there. We don't know who his teammate is yet, I think. The other big one...
Who do you think it might be?
I think it'll be Esteban Ocon.
Do you?
I do.
Yeah,
It has,
let's talk about him.
Yeah. I'm increasingly certain it'll be Esteban Ocon in that Haas next year.
Love a bit of gossip.
That's the gossip. I mean, listen,
Gossip.
things change all the time, because a few weeks ago it was looking likely that Carlos Sainz was going to end up at Williams and that sort of thing, and now that looks less likely, and he could end up at Alpine. But as we speak right now, I think Esteban Ocon will be in that seat alongside Oliver Behrman.
And then the other little thing is Kimi Antonelli obviously won the junior race today. He's, the hot tip for the Mercedes seat instead of Lewis Hamilton. So he's been doing loads of testing in the Mercedes. They've been testing all over the place. I only hear good things out of that. Again, he's not been doing great in the junior formula, but he won today. So he looks likely to take the Mercedes seat. I think Mercedes feel a bit that they've not promoted junior drivers early enough. So it'll be great to see what those two can do, because when you look at the junior formula, it's very hard to get a gauge on who's good or not. So if those two drivers can go in, it'll be really interesting to pair them against the ones we have already.
So do you think Mercedes aren't worried that he's not had a great season?
There will be a little bit of that, but he's done so much testing. He'll do so much simulator time. He'll have the winter test. I think there's an Abu Dhabi test at the end of the year. He'll probably do 2 P1 sessions during the year, so he'll get up to speed. He's a bright kid. So they'll quickly have it. And they have Russell there for all their feedback and development. So, yeah, of course it's a challenge. It's a big step up. But from what we've seen from Oliver Behrman and Jack or Liam Lawson that got in earlier in the year for other cars, they can do it. You know, these guys are on it.
When you said that Mercedes feel like they miss some young drivers, who do you mean in particular?
Max Verstappen. So I'm led to believe that Max was part of them. Someone correct me when I say something incorrect. I believe Max was originally pipped to go to Mercedes, and then they were unsure of taking the risk on such a young driver. Then he moved to the Red Bull program, and we know that Toto and Christian are a bit, at war. So I'd imagine every time Max wins, Toto's a bit like, he should have been driving for me. So he doesn't want to miss Kimi. And let's see how that goes.
Well, that sort of lumps the pressure on Kimi, doesn't it?
It
Quite a lot.
really does. And it's a bit like making a decision with your mind over your head, or your heart over your head. So hopefully Kimi Antonelli's as good as he's pipped.
And it's really exciting because this time next year, this crowd could look so different because all you Sir Lewis Hamilton fans, any Lewis Hamilton fans in? For those who are following Lewis as opposed to Mercedes, guys, you're going to need to buy some red hats, aren't you?
Yeah.
And then we're also going to have another Brit. We're going to have Oliver Behrman, who I know Silverstone will make feel welcome and give him a round of applause and welcome into Formula One. We'll have another Brit on the grid next year. So it's just such an exciting time for Formula One going into 2025.
And just to pick up on Hamilton, moving to Ferrari, I was shocked by that. I did not see that coming. I can see the pull of the red. I get it. Every driver wants to drive for Ferrari. If anyone from Ferrari is listening, I'll take one as well, if that's possible. But it would be great. It's going to be a real challenge for Lewis. The Italian team works very differently to Mercedes. He's never driven anything but a Mercedes engine, so a lot of the controls will be different. His engineers will be different. So that's going to be his first few races, I think, which he's admitted recently, are going to be, a real baptism of fire.
Come on then, let's talk about tomorrow.
Okay.
We've got a British 1, 2, 3 starting tomorrow. Bernie, yeah.
Oh, it's exciting, isn't it?
It's really exciting.
Really exciting.
Bernie, where? Come on then, let's do heart first and then head. Who would you like to win, and who do you think will win?
Well, I think just in order not to be mobbed, I'm going to say that Lewis is going to win.
So you think he's going to win, but who would you like to win?
No, I'd like Lewis to win.
Good,
I don't care who wins as long as we have a good race.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to be neutral now, right?
And I do feel like we will have a good race. Where's your money, Christian?
I made a prediction. For those of you who came to our Drivers In stage show yesterday, I made a prediction. Qualifying's happened, so I'm going to change my prediction.
What was your prediction yesterday?
No, it's good. I mean, the football's on soon, so get used to some boos. So let's have a go. Boo Christian again. It's quite nice. Just good for the podcast. Can you boo Christian? Lovely. No, it's just nice we can have that. You clip that up. We can use it every now and then. No. It's just good to have.
Sod you all. No, I won't give you a prediction. No. I think third place will be George Russell. I think second place will be Sir Lewis Hamilton. I think the race winner will be Lando Norris. I've just got a feeling that Lando will do it this weekend. I've just got a feeling. I've had it since the weekend started. I said it yesterday on the Drivers In stage. I just feel good for Lando this weekend. And let's be clear, we might get a dry race. It's unpredictable. During the 2 free practice sessions, that McLaren looked really comfortable in dry conditions. It strikes me, Bernie, that dries would suit the McLarens.
Yeah, I think dry will suit the McLaren a little bit more, but Mercedes are already ahead.
Yeah,
so,
that counts for so much, doesn't it?
They two very good drivers. They're all good drivers. They love it here. They'll all want that home Grand Prix win. Tomorrow, I don't want to give the game away too much, but It's probably going to be a one-stop race. It's going to be when the safety car comes, if it comes. There's a high risk of safety car here. It's, do you start on a soft and hope for a lap one incident? That'll allow you to manage your soft a little bit. Or do you start in the medium, which is probably the more sensible tyre, but is obviously not so quick off the line. So there's going to be some big decisions tonight across the drivers. And the interesting thing will be, do Lewis and George do something different? So every driver wants to beat the guy beside him. That's the first person you want to meet. And often one of the ways to do that is to do something different. And then if it doesn't work, you just blame your strategist.
Well, I mean,
And while we've got Bernie Collins at Sky Race Control, what's the weather looking like, Bernie, tomorrow? Have you got the radar?
No, I've not actually looked yet, but it was very, very changeable. Sorry, do you want me to look at the radar?
Can you look at the radar now? Because there's a young man at the front who's going to give me a cider, I think. So can I just have that?
Oh, that's the second stage show in a row that Greg James has been given a cider by the crowd.
That's all I ever asked for. Thank you.
We've got a minute left of this show. Just a little reminder, guys, for those of you who are back. Tomorrow morning, first thing, we will be on this stage again with the Williams team boss. James Vowles will be here, everybody.
Yes, so get here early if you want to hear from James tomorrow morning.
And just as we've got a bigger crowd, I want to do it again because the crowd has, as we've been talking, sort of gone 5-6 times bigger. So we've got in 1 minute, who wants to see a George Russell win? Who wants to see a Lando Norris win? Who wants to see a Sir Lewis Hamilton win? Greg's right. It is a Lewis Hamilton. The crowd have gone with Lewis, haven't they?
I think it is. Thank you so much for being here. Hope you enjoy the football. Most importantly, hope you enjoy the race tomorrow, which is why we're all here. If you've enjoyed what you've heard and you've never heard of the Fast and the Curious, then make sure you download us and have a listen if you're an F1 fan. We love doing the podcast and you're very welcome to have a listen. Please, can you show your appreciation for the brilliant Bernie Collins?
Thank you, everyone.